So it's just before 5 AM in the back streets of South Melbourne. It's dark, it's cold, and it's quiet. Putting all the gear on my bike, I'm preparing to go on a 210km ride to, well, here. All the way around the bay and back to here, that is. My practice run 2 weeks ago ended in running out of power only 160km in. And a lot of the time I should have spent training, I was preparing for the Canning Stock route. And I just realised I've actually got no idea where the starting line is, but follow the blinking lights seems as good a strategy as any. There's certainly a bike rave going on at the start line.
And we're off. Briefly.
Brilliant high five. Have a great day, everyone. I'm so thrilled we're back. And events are back in Melbourne.
Crossing the start line, we all set out to do a lap of Albert Park, then head out onto the road.
We want a nice, safe and steady start. Enjoy our United Energy around the bay today. All these devices in Network Victoria, aren't they incredible? It's been a few years, but we're so glad to have them back. Ali, how long have you been with Vital Network? Well, I have been in my role for about 8 weeks, but I've been volunteering with Vital Network for over...
We had a closed lane along Albert Road as we head out to the bay to begin our massive adventure. Over the road bridge on Graham Street, a little taste of what's shortly to come. Now normally if you did take the route we're taking here, you would well see flashing red and blue lights involved, but this time they're here to help us do it. One of the highlights of Around the Bay is that we get 2 lanes on the Westgate Bridge closed for us to use. Normally, cycling across this bridge is strictly forbidden. You never realise quite how steep it is when you're driving it, but now, having an e-bike was quite handy. Trouble is, if you are on the 210km ride, you do this so early there's so little view. A bit of navigation through Newport with a last minute route change because of a road closure due to flooding. Short trip along the Esplanade and we reach the first rest stop. At Altona, 28km in. I try one of the energy gels. It tastes terrible. I'm not sold. Riding on the flat though, the disadvantage of the e-bike shows up here. With no motor assistance allowed above 25km an hour, and the second generation Bosch motor having the reduction drive between the pedals and front sprocket inside the motor, the drivetrain's a bit less efficient. So it's actually more effort than a normal bike if you want to ride faster than that. And if I had $1 for every person who said, "Must be easy, you're riding an e-bike," well, I might have enough to buy an ancient road bike off Gumtree in unrideable condition. Oddly specific, huh? And now we enter the next part of the ride, riding on the shoulder of the Princes Freeway. Now initially I thought this would be pretty scary. I mean, riding along with cars and trucks doing 100k an hour past you? But here's the thing, the shoulder's about 3 meters wide, meaning it's the widest bike lane you've ever used, and the meaning of this road sign is still unknown to modern science, so no one's in the left lane anyway. So really, compared to St Kilda Road, where the bike lane's the width of your handlebars and the cars are less than a metre away, it's actually pretty different. The only sketchy bit is crossing the exits. You look behind you, down the road almost as far as you can see, and by the time you're across the exit, that car is almost there. second rest stop, Little River. 63 kilometres done, 147 to go. I might have spent a bit too long here talking to people, which was a bit of a mistake. I was no longer warm. I got pretty cold, and it was a struggle to get back on the bike and keep going. In the 45 kilogram weight of my bike and all the equipment, I didn't even bring a jacket. Then it was uphill, and the e-bike became a bit more useful. And as I pass a few more people with flat tyres, my decision to leave the Schwab Marathon Pluses on feels a bit more justified. The shoulder's full of random crap that's fallen off cars and trucks, bits of twisted metal wire from truck tyre blowouts, and broken glass from car crashes. Some of it's bizarre though. There was a set of cutlery spread out all over the road and I ended up running over a steak knife, but I did dodge the forks. So we leave the freeway towards Queenscliff, the odd sign placed by the organisers to assist those not looking at the GPX and Osmand on their phone. Down some back streets in dire need of a resurface, just down the road where it turns out they already have been. And into the third rest area, Rippleside Park in Geelong. Bananas and snakes on offer? Well, I'm pressured into taking a second banana.
Here's another one too.
84 kilometres in and the first battery is flat. That's significantly better than expected. I'm actually less worried about running out of power now, but not quite enough to turn the assistance on the e-bike up. Heading through the middle of Geelong, and I'm struck by the strange feeling of being in Geelong. No, I mean, seriously, I've been here before, but in my mind, this is a place you get into your car, drive for an hour, and get here. And I know it makes sense on the numbers. I mean, I rode out to Warburton the other week, but it just seems strange that I got here by bike. Out of Geelong into more rural scenery, we head down the Bellarine Highway to Queenscliff. This gives us two very gradual ascents, and then a downhill section right at the end. Turning into the fourth rest area at Queenscliff, 118 kilometres in, I seek out a ticket to the ferry. Ferry tickets are allocated as you arrive at the rest stop to avoid chaos on the ramp, and unfortunately I just missed the last tickets for the 11:30 ferry by only a few minutes, so now I'd have to wait half an hour longer for the 12 o'clock one. Still, it means I get a break rather than having to head to the ferry right now. Well, I found a spot on the grass, had lunch, stretched my legs, and waited for the 12 o'clock ferry announcement. At this point, you can pick up a package that you send yourself from the starting line, possibly containing useful supplies. I didn't though, I ended up just carrying everything. The horde descended onto the car deck of the ferry, filling over half the deck with bikes. Arriving in Sorrento, everyone descended to the car deck again, and we have another rest stop. I reorganised batteries, putting a fresh one in the frame bag and putting the flat one in the rear bag, but I've still got a decent amount of charge left in this one. The Mornington Peninsula is certainly very picturesque. And a bit further up the road, we reached the Safety Beach rest area with 146 kilometres in. The course is generally pretty flat due to how closely it follows the coast. I mean, it does go around the bay after all. But as we pass through the underpass here, that's all about to change. Along the Esplanade, we've got a road closure for the event, so we have the entire northbound lane to ourselves. And this section is very far from flat. It's called Mount Martha for a reason. Down the very steep Oliver's Hill, and we pull into the second to last rest area in Frankston. Just over 169 kilometres down, about 47 to go. Although there wasn't that long to go, compared to how far we'd already gone, I was certainly feeling it in my legs by this point. Looks like it's all the hill we get. Speaking of things that are flat, second battery still has about 20% left in it. I have 2 fully charged batteries left, so I could just swap it over now. I could have turned up the power assistance all the way and saved my legs, but I wanted to know exactly how long I could make it last. The answer being exactly this far. I swap it over at the 182 kilometre mark, meaning I got 98 kilometres out of it, and continue on to the last rest stop. And the last rest stop at Mordialloc, 186 kilometres in. I feel like this one is strangely placed, being only 17 kilometres from the last one, but leaving us 30 kilometres to go to the end. But on the other hand, looking to the north, I can't really think of anywhere else that'd be good to put it. At this point I became likely to exceed the suggested route timings, which suddenly seemed a little less generous on this side of the ferry ride. But what did this mean? Would there still be a finish line? Eventually reaching the intersection with Kerford Road. The traffic controllers direct us to hook turn into the lane that's reserved for us. But surprising many, it's the right lane, not the left one, which actually makes more sense because further down we're all going to turn right into Albert Park. and cross the finish line. Then a right turn up into the finishing area. Issued a medal and 2 cans of some sort of sports drink. First time in my life I've ever done a ride over 200 kilometers. Certainly feeling it in my legs. I guess I'm a bit later than a lot of the riders, but I crossed the line, and according to the official results there were 1,717 entrants. 172 never crossed the start line, and 153 never crossed the finish line. I grabbed a copy of the data and graphed it. Looking at the graph of finishing times, I am, well, here. Plenty of room to improve for next year, I guess. Interestingly, you can actually see the graph looks somewhat spiky at roughly 30-minute increments. This would be the influence of the ferry departure timetable and the varying weight that imposes on everyone's ride time. But one thing's for sure, next year I am not going to bring so much stuff. My fears about battery life turned out to be quite unfounded. Turned out I only needed 2 and a bit batteries. If that's all I need, maybe I could just make use of the valet scheme to bring me a bit more power. Until next time, don't forget to like, comment and subscribe, and see you next time when we're going to head into the high country.